This is a 7 or 8 mile walk, about 3.5 hours there and back. It goes from the old military road, which is the B8077, which is at Stronmilchan, and takes us all the way up to the traditional summer pastures of Glen Strae. Next to the two bridges over the River Strae and the stream down from Beinn Mhic is the track to Duiletter Farm, and that's the one that you need to take. The first part of the walk takes you through a conservation area, through the working farm and up to a waterfall with a bathing pool. After a few minutes walking, you'll already have sight of the wonderful mountains which protect the glen. You want to take the left fork here, and in about 200 or 300 metres you get to the conservation area with its ponds and all its wildlife. Through the gate at the end of the conservation area takes you into the farmland. The farm has a prize herd of Highland cows, and it's highly likely that you're going to be meeting them on this walk. In my limited experience, Highland cows are really gentle, really friendly, but they're a bit confused this morning because their tasty winter snacks were all over the road and they really didn't want to get out of my way. The track bears right at the barn, and then it's a short climb up to the waterfall. Just keep on going up the hill here, bearing left. At the top of the hill, there's the opportunity to look back over the first part of the walk and down to Lochore in the distance. The track then runs alongside of the new plantation. You get to a gate, and in my view, this is the beginning of the wild glen and the summer pastures. At the risk of sounding like an old romantic, I always feel I'm going back in time from this point. There's a tranquility and a calmness to the glen from now on, which is reinforced by the meandering stream and the very flat riverbed and all the old abandoned homesteads. And I do find that feeling is exacerbated when I'm out here on my own, surrounded and protected by the mountains, and clearly a long way from the rest of human activity. I'm not sure whether this is actually an abandoned homestead or just some abandoned sheep and cattle pens. The only thing that leads me to say that is there is actually an abandoned homestead marked on the map on the other side of the river from these ruins. The falls provide a constant background noise in this part of the glen, despite the fact there's not much water coming down because much of it is held as snow on top of the mountains. The walk then continues up the glen to what appears to be a stone shooting hide, before then turning to drop down to the river. I did manage to disturb a herd of deer at this point, which you can just see in the inset hopefully. It's worth noting that the farm estate is actually quite proactive in managing shoots during September and October, so probably best to avoid walking in those months. As this walk was on the 18th of December, with the difference between sunrise and sunset only 6.5 hours, I followed my usual rule of walking for 2 hours and then walking back. So that just took me to the bridge over the river. There's at least another half an hour of walking up the glen if you're there for longer days, and that gets you up to the remains of the Shielings. The Shielings were the huts built by the farmers to spend the summer looking after their cattle and their sheep, particularly during a time when cattle rustling was big business in Scotland. So after a snack and some soup at the bridge, it was time to go back, particularly as the rain clouds were gathering. As you can see, it's not a particularly strenuous walk, and the track is good underfoot. Whilst walking to the bridge and back is about 3.5 hours, you are probably going to spend a lot more time exploring and maybe even take a picnic. And of course there's the time required to take those tourist photographs next to the Highland cows. There is the opportunity to use the track up the glen as a springboard to other walks, and one of the walks I want to do is the pass that goes across to Glen Kinglass from here. That's about it for this walk. As I said, if you're really looking for somewhere that's tranquil, calm and relaxing, then this is a really good walk to do. It's all good.